January 6th committee held its second public hearing Monday, presenting testimony by former President Trump's top advisors showing that they urged the president not to declare victory prematurely on election night.
For reaction and much more, let's bring in South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who is facing a Trump-backed challenger on this primary election day. Welcome back to GMA3, Congresswoman. Lovely to have you here. And I know we've all been following along these 2 days of testimony so far in the January 6th hearings. A few months ago, and you have publicly condemned, of course, what happened. I want to point that out. But you said that former President Trump had gotten some bad advice. That's what you felt had happened. But after we've heard the last few days, it sounds like he actually was getting some good advice, perhaps some bad advice from Rudy Giuliani. What have you learned over these past 2 days listening in?
Well, actually, when I was talking about the former president getting bad advice, I was talking about my opponent, and I am in a primary election today where polls close at 7 p.m. We've been focused on this over the last couple of weeks, and I have not been able to watch the testimony so far because I've been out knocking on doors and getting out the vote, because today is our Republican primary today, and we're working very hard in that direction. So, and that's where we are this afternoon.
You know what? To that point, this was a prime time show, of course, that initial night of the hearings. You haven't, I know you've been busy. You got an election day here, but what is it you think is being presented to the American people? I don't want to say it's not important enough to you. You got something else going on there, but what do you think of the show that's been put on, and why this does need to be presented again to the American people?
Well, you said it exactly. When they started with these hearings last week, it was during prime time. You know, it's gotten very political in that regard. There are 4 federal agencies that are investigating January 6th. You have Homeland Security, you have the Secret Service, you have the FBI, you have the Department of Justice, who's made over 800 arrests so far, and those that have violently attacked the police are being held accountable, are being arrested, are facing sentences, and are being charged with crimes, and that's what should happen in this country. Meanwhile, at the same time, we had someone who showed up armed last weekend at Justice Kavanaugh's house, like right around the corner from him. I'm someone that had my house spray painted last summer. My car has been keyed. The divisions in this country have really gotten out of control, and we need to bring it back and keep every community safe, regardless of what political aisle they sit on, but everybody in this country, and protect our judicial branch of government, in fact, is another example that happened just a couple days ago.
Congresswoman, as you point out, it is election day. This is a primary election, and your opponent is being backed by President Trump, Katie Arrington. What do you feel your chances are heading into the polls today?
We feel very good. I'm cautiously optimistic. The only poll that really matters is the one on election day, but we've been up double digits for the entirety of the race, including up until a few days ago. And I've worked really hard. This district, when I flipped this seat from Democrat to Republican, it was my opponent in 2018 that lost it to a Democrat for the first time in 40 years. But I literally ran on and promised I would be an independent voice. I promised I wouldn't toe the party line, particularly when Republicans spent too much and taxed too much. I have a great fiscally conservative record, which is reflective of the values of the district that I represent. And voters know they can trust me with their tax dollars and our national security. My opponent voted for the highest tax hike in South Carolina history, and that was the gas tax. So when people are filling up at the pump and they feel how painful that is, they can blame my opponent for that. And my opponent lost her top secret security clearance for leaking classified information about our military. So if the military can't even trust her, why should voters? So we're out here working very hard day in and day out over the last several months to bring out a win, a double-digit win tonight when polls close at 7 p.m.
And Congresswoman, you told us here, and you appeared with us the day after the January 6th insurrection, and you said that the party had work to do, the Republican Party, to do a bit of a rebuild. Here we are a year later. How is that going?
What I want to show tonight, and I was a kid when I was 17. I dropped out of high school, became a waitress at a Waffle House. I would eventually make it through the Citadel and graduate as its first woman. But I want to show people tonight that you can have a dream, that you can set goals in your life, and you can work hard, you can be honest, you can be truthful, and you can win, and you can be successful. And that's why, for me, today is just so important.
But are you proud of what your party has done the past year to do that rebuild that you talk about?
Well, I think both sides, my party and the Democrats as well. I mean, the Democrats have a lot of work to do as well. There's been violence. There have been attempts at violence or people saying they're going to be violent against the Supreme Court justices. You had the addresses of the Supreme Court justices leak, and the president didn't do anything about it, didn't say anything. And we're not holding these people accountable who are showing up on their lawn, on their doorstep to protest. And so it is both sides of the aisle that have a lot of work to do. And as a single working mom of 2 teenage kids, I know that kind of work is tough and it's hard. It's one of the reasons that I've got people attacking me on both sides of the aisle. It feels like almost every single day, but that's why today is so important, that we have the right people in the right offices doing the right thing when they are in office. And we're working really hard to show folks how to do that.
Well, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, we appreciate your time today. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.